Bonjour boomers, I'm 22, chronically online, unemployed and pretty sure that Half-Life is a critique of modern scientific advancement. Everyone above 30 says that Half-Life changed gaming forever, revolutionized shooters, blah blah, we've heard it all. But here's the real mystery. How is Gordon's hairline still better than mine even after falling into radiation? Today we're gonna cover exactly why this game still holds up even to a Gen Z audience, turned me into a bee-hopping menace and literally changed gaming forever. In the end, I will rate this game out of 10 because let's be honest, that's the only score that really matters. Ego is a dangerous thing. So at the start of my journey, I did this. Difficulty hard because we're not playing around. Little did I know that it was signing up for 13 hours of hell. Right from the first chapter, Half-Life shows you what type of game it is. No flashy cutscenes, no forced tutorial, just a train ride. Compared to literally every other modern game that hits you with a cutscene on full volume and unskippable garbage. And it definitely helped me because of low attention span and all that. You're surrounded by detail, systems and mechanics. It's Valve flexing their engine like a tech demo, which was probably pretty impressive for its time. Show don't tell is a technique many content creators, fiction writers, film bros and that guy with a pretentious movie backlog love to preach. And in Half-Life, it's their entire personality. Like later on, there's a part where you fight this giant tentacle monster. The game doesn't tell you what to do. No tutorial, no pop-ups, no hand-holding, just a room full of grenades. But you can't kill it. You have to figure out through pure intuition that the monster only reacts to sound. So the game actually expects you to play instead of going through a scripted sequence. As I bee-hop deeper into Black Mesa, I noticed something. The G-Man. This chapter is the setup for everything that is about to go wrong. You get the iconic hazard suit, take part in an experiment and accidentally cause the near end of humanity. And all that for 9 to 5 money. This kind of reminds me of Silicon Valley developers who sold humanity by making them chronically addicted to social media for a free lunch and paid vacation. But here's the thing. We are part of the problem. The butterfly effect of pushing that card thing to whatever laser and triggering the event, which could have been avoided if we just called in sick. But let's be real, we are probably not the only employee they have, so after passing out and regaining consciousness, I pick up the legendary crowbar and immediately run into my first enemies. And they're strong as fuck. The Vortigons and the headcrabs are just a taste on what is about to come. This is also a good time to talk about Half-Life's silence tutorialization. What the fuck does it mean? It means the game teaches you through its environment. You get the crowbar, you break a window. You break a crate, you get loot. You see crates again. Your brain goes loot. What's cool is, I didn't think about this while playing, I just did it. And modern shooters are still struggling with this. Like yeah, I get it, gaming has gone from niche nerd to I played God of War 2018 and call it peak gaming. Some of us want to figure out stuff ourselves. Let me use my fucking brain. At least a little. Now we're in the aftermath of our actions. Mostly under-equipped, scarce resources because of the difficulty, enemies everywhere. And the devs clearly have the thing for air vents, which made the game at times feel more like a horror game than a sci-fi shooter. Chapter 4 is where shit gets real. Everyone around you is dying, Black Mesa is collapsing, but more importantly, this is the first chapter, it feels like survival. Immersion is something Half-Life does weirdly well. I can't tell if it's the difficulty combined with the lack of context, or the fact that you're constantly low on ammo. But you're thrown into and out of action within minutes. It is an inconsistent flow of silence and chaos. But this inconsistency is what I like. The pacing feels very human. Like the devs actually played the game and asked, okay, how do we keep this interesting without breaking immersion? And the answer is, change the rhythm. New rooms, new sounds, new mechanics without overwhelming the player. This is good level design. And the best part, it fits in the lore. This is also where I realized I couldn't just run and gun anymore. I need an actual plan. Learn enemy patterns, time movement, solve puzzles under pressure. Scarcity pushes you, the player, into taking advantage of every situation and item on hand. This feels like Half-Life secretly has a roguelike DNA long before that term was cool. But I might as well just be interpreting too much because I sucked at this game. But to be fair, I wasn't using quicksave at the time, so don't judge me. And let's not forget about the turrets that shoot on anything that walks. Like what type of security system is that? They better have a good lawyer in New Mexico because they are about to get sued. Chapter 5 is where the game stops holding your hand. If it ever did that in the first place. You see that door? Yeah, remember it, it will be important later. Up until now you've been fighting aliens, weird crab things, electricity guys, but you kinda get the hang of it. Then the Marines show up. Human enemies. Smarter, faster, and human. And let's not forget, they set up traps. Actual traps. I was humbled instantly. To make matters worse, this is also where you meet the auto turrets. If you touch one of these red tripwires, it's over. So you start doing what Half-Life forces you to do well. You learn patterns. And once again, in the middle of all this chaos, G-Man, just chilling in the background. And remember that door from the beginning? Yeah, we sneak up to it through vents. And if you paid attention, those vents also take you to secret loot spots you couldn't reach before. This shows how efficient Half-Life is with its level design. But you're actually on a tight little route back to where you started. Basically the Dark Souls of 1998. And just when you think you're starting to understand the game, the tentacle monster. Have you ever heard of Chekhov's gun? It's an old writing rule and it goes like this. If a gun is shown in Act 1, it better go off in Act 3. Basically, if you show something early in the story and it never comes back, that's bad storytelling. So let me ask you something. Why does Half-Life keep showing you this guy? You never talk to him, he never talks to you, you can't shoot him, you can't follow him. He just shows up again and again, watching. And the first time, you think it's a background detail. The second time, weird coincidence. The third time, okay, now something is going on. What Half-Life is doing, without ever saying a word, is following the Chekhov's gun principle. They show you the G-Man in Act 1 and they expect you to remember, even if you don't know why yet. And this won't be the last time we see him. Someone even told me he's part of the ending. So now the tentacle monster. Actually, before we get to that, we need to go back a little. Back to the part where everything suddenly got quiet. This is where Half-Life changes again. No more gunfights, no more auto turrets. Just you and the sound of something waiting. Oh, and these motherfuckers sniping you like you're in an old Modern Warfare lobby. What the fuck, dude? Relax. I don't know why, but they remind me of women who wear leopard pants and have big personalities. Anyway, Half-Life's sound design is actually insane, even for today's standards. Like when you're crawling through vents. The footsteps echo like you're inside an actual tin can. Everything sounds metallic, even switching weapons. But the moment you drop into an office, the reverb is gone. You feel like you're in a room again. And in big open areas, you can hear the wind howling. It actually makes you afraid of heights. Sure, some sound effects are a little over the top like suspense stingers in 80s movies. But it works. It still makes you feel completely immersed. And the best part, Half-Life barely even uses music. Not that music is bad, but most of the game is just you and the environment. But it never really feels empty. You don't miss the soundtrack because the world is enough. And then there's diegetic sound. What does that mean? I give you an example. The guard near the tentacle silo, he tells you to stay quiet. He's not just giving you a hint, okay, technically he is, but he knows the monster reacts to sound, because he lives in this world too. That's a character responding to the same rules you are about to learn through gameplay. And it sells the whole illusion. So let's talk about the fucking monster. You're dropped into the silo with nothing but grenades and told, figure it out. At first I tried killing it. Threw grenades, shot at it, nothing, no damage. Then I realized it only reacts to sound, which is sick because the game doesn't tell you that. Well, unless you ask that NPC. It just gives you the tools and expects you to use your brain. So you sneak past it, find a path forward, and the choice is yours. You can either go to the electricity room or to the fuel and oxygen chamber first. I chose the electricity room first because it was the most obvious. But then something stupid happened. I didn't know it was coming from above, okay? Anyway, you reactivate the power, the oxygen and the fuel. And then finally, the laser. What a beautiful moment. So now we can run around without thinking, at least for now. Because Half-Life never lets you rest for long. After a little swimming break, we meet a new enemy, the Gargantua. At first I thought that thing was a human-made robot, but it's fighting with the aliens and against the Marines. When I tried to shoot it, nothing happened. Which, fair, this thing looks like straight out of Mech Warriors. This is the equivalent of trying to defeat an iron golem with a snowball. So I did what any sane person would do. Run. I dodged it with my incredible B-op skills and snuck into the energy control room. But this is where another nightmare begins. I know I sound like a little wimp, but this is the moment Half-Life really stops being like a Doom-like run and gun and turns into a tactical survival shooter. Well, in hard mode that is. Low on ammo, low on health, and hard trying like Rentis do. After barely surviving this war zone, I somehow activated the generator and head back upstairs to finally deal with the Gargantua once and for all. What was the plan? Bait him into the big room with electricity coils and flip the switch. Once again, Half-Life doesn't tell you what to do, but this time the setup actually makes it pretty obvious. And pulling it off feels amazing. All that zeal and power just to get outsmarted by a Nikola Tesla invention is pretty funny, not gonna lie. Even poetic. And now we finally get to ride the train, which sounds fun, until you realize the next chapter is probably the most hated in the entire game. I don't get it. People online hate this chapter because of the length, the enemies, the confusion, and the repetitive environment. Some of that is fair, others not so. You go from bee-hopping and blasting to becoming a tram operator with a Glock. And honestly, I kinda like it. You saw the power of trains back in chapter 1. And now, you're using that same system yourself. Unlike modern games where you see a cool set piece and never get to touch it. And yeah, it's clunky. You're constantly stopping to clear tracks, fight soldiers, press buttons, then hopping back on the train like your boss is yelling at you for being late again. Kind of reminds me of taking the train in modern day Germany. But it works. It's slow, yes, but it feels like you're infiltrating something huge. Like you're inside the infrastructure of a real functioning facility. Then finally, you make it outside. Okay, this is not really the first time, but I counted this the first time because it's way more epic. Basically, push the button and make rocket go up. It feels important. Important enough that it gets its own music cue. You just have no idea why. And that's chapter 8. Too long? Sure. Kinda awkward, definitely. But I respect it. It changes the pace. It gives you the control of something massive. Well, not really, it's a train. But it feels important. And sets the stage to what's next. Because now, the real horror begins. Let me show you why. And just when things start to make sense, you meet one of the scariest enemies in the entire game. The underwater fish. It's fast, it's angry, and it sounds like it escaped from a horror mod. It lives in the same pool you're trying to swim through. And people still say the Megalodon couldn't exist anymore because it wouldn't survive. Bro, this thing is thriving. Put that thing into SeaWorld and it won't have a problem. But they're not done with you yet, because this chapter also introduces a new kind of enemy, the Black Ops, invisible women. Basically what you are to women, except these ones are special forces and will absolutely ruin your life. They move fast, hit hard, and if you don't know where they spawn, good luck with that. And every time they shoot you, your suit's like... blood loss detected. Like, what the fuck is in these bullets? It's like they're actually trying to kill me or something. And just when you're adjusting to the madness, you get caught. Oh, fuck. Literally caught. Like, scripted cutscene caught. Which is super rare in this game. In fact, it might be the only real cutscene in the game. And that brings me to the point I love about Half-Life. And Valve games in general. No cutscenes. They don't stop to explain you the entire lore you don't care about. Or show you epic scenery B-roll from a drone's perspective. They just let you play. You figure things out. You stay immersed. Modern games, especially the ones with cinematic combat, love to hide the coolest stuff inside a cutscene. Or worse, a QTE. Listen, I don't boot this up to watch a movie. I came to play a game. And unskippable cutscenes, don't even get me started. They kill the pacing, the flow, and the whole point. But here, this one works. You've been feeling unstoppable this whole time. Blasting soldiers, solving puzzles, paralyzing big fishes. Then suddenly, you're reminded you're just a guy in a suit. I really like this because it halves your power curve. You think you've got it all figured out, then boom. No weapons, no power, just you. Half-Life resets you to 0 and makes you rebuild. That's apprehension. Shorter, tighter, more intense. And in the next few chapters, you're gonna see how I suffered. So this chapter starts off fine. You're going through the factories, dodging radiation, and trying not to get turned into a tuna can. So basically a normal day for Gordon. By this point, I thought I figured out the Half-Life loop. Combat, puzzle, new gun, same rhythm, right? Wrong. This chapter proves it. This part honestly feels like the jump and run chapter. You've got no equipment, no weapons, just your skillful movement. Like seriously, who built these traps here? Are you fucking kidding me? And considering you just got captured, it's yet another great change of pace. Short, clean, and a little break from the chaos. Enjoy it while it lasts. You meet the alien grunts for the first time, and these guys are built different. Like seriously, look at them. They look like that one guy from Lilo and Stitch. At first, I thought they were some kind of human experiment. But then I saw them fighting the Marines and that theory got deleted real quick. I don't know what kind of tech these aliens have, but whatever it is, they're definitely cooking. Speaking of cooking, this chapter also let you experiment with lasers. And as a bonus, you are handed a brand new weapon. This one is sick. I was waiting for something like this. It feels experimental, kinda prototypish. The whole setup makes sense, the payoff feels great. But just when you think things are finally going well, you're greeted by the longest, most draining, and straight up worst chapter in Half-Life. Let's talk about it. This is without a doubt my most hated chapter, and I have many reasons, trust me. It's long, it's hard, and it's painful. I probably spent over 2 hours here. And not the fun kind of 2 hours, the ones where you question your life choices every 5 minutes. Would I ever replay this chapter? Not in a million years. Resources are scarce. Enemies are everywhere. Like, seriously, everywhere. Everywhere. Oh my god. And the game feels like it's actively trying to ruin your day. No, your life. Especially on hard. I think that's the main thing here, okay? Hard difficulty. This chapter was a cognito hazard. Knowing and playing it changed me forever. You're getting shot at by Marines on one side, zapped by aliens on the other, and guess what? They're not even on the same team. But they both agree you need to die. Like I didn't even do anything, I just work here. This chapter isn't just a challenge, it's war. But to be fair, it also has some cool moments. Right off the bat, you're being followed by a helicopter. Not followed, hunted. This thing is actively trying to erase you. And while you're running, the tentacle monster makes a comeback. There's one thing that stood out in the rocky starting area besides getting terrorized by enemies in a heli. These goddamn rocks. Now, don't get me wrong, I don't need handholding. But some of these rocks, they look impassable. Like invisible walls. Like you're not supposed to go through there. Turns out you can sneak through them. Maybe that's just my Gen Z brain being tricked by 90s geometry. Still, it was interesting. After crawling through a minefield and escaping through a tunnel, we're greeted by a fighter jet flying overhead and some wild scenery. Now, I'm sure that skybox was pretty impressive for 1998, but it aged like milk. Eventually, you finally get revenge on that annoying helicopter with one of the coolest weapons in the game, a rocket launcher with controllable rockets. If I played this in 1998, I would have lost my mind. You sneak through some tunnels again and then suddenly you're in what looks like a full-blown marine base. And let's be brutally honest here. I don't like this level and I think it's over the top. And I genuinely don't think there's any valid reason for it to exist others than to make the player suffer. That's it. That's the whole purpose. No deeper meaning, no clever twist, just pure concentrated pain. This part isn't a test of skill. It's a test of patience and how much are you willing to endure checkpoint. And on hard difficulty, it's close to impossible without cheesing it. So I did exactly that. After getting shot by snipers, dodging minefields once again, we get into this room with a comedic amount of traps. I swear, whoever was designing that level was smirking the whole time. You can feel it. Eventually, you take an elevator down and get a new alien weapon. Infinite ammo, interesting design, and cool overall. But kinda weak, not gonna lie. From here on, it's just more enemies, more shooting, more dying. Now, I know I've been complaining a lot, and that's valid, but the struggle actually made the playthrough more fun for me. I know it doesn't seem that way, especially in this chapter, but hear me out. I've played hard games, Dark Souls, Elden Ring, Old School Mario, Donkey Kong Country, but Half-Life's constant relentless challenge really wore me down. So why didn't I just lower the difficulty? Because if I did, I wouldn't take it seriously. I need the challenge. If it's too easy, I get bored and I quit. And finally, the cherry on top, you get to fight another Gargantua. And by fight, I mean call in an airstrike. And pray he doesn't walk through the gate and climb up the damn silo like a titan. Like, isn't that fucking insane? How is he able to climb that? Isn't he like, how heavy is a titan like that? Whatever. So yeah, that was surface tension. Cool moments, some great set pieces, but also the most draining, miserable, mentally taxing chapter of Half-Life. Easily my least favorite. Chapter 13 actually throws us a really interesting shift. For the first time, you start to notice that the military isn't really focused on you anymore. They're losing, they're panicking, they're trying to evacuate. This is why this chapter is called Forget About Gordon. You also finally get to use heavy military equipment you've been seeing all game. Tanks, mounted guns, explosives. They're not just background props anymore. You're finally getting your hands dirty. And I gotta admit, that's kinda cool. Doesn't mean we're invincible though. After all that chaos and carnage outside, we finally make it to the Lambert core. And now for the first time, we actually get to see how teleportation works. The G-Man even pops in to remind us that yeah, he's been watching. And he probably shows up again real soon. The enemies are still brutal, you're still low on ammo, and you're still very much on your own. But the arsenal starts getting interesting. You're handed what I can only describe as Ghostbuster laser death cannon, which is extremely cool. But it burns through ammo like... I don't know, I'm running out of metaphors. You also get a suit upgrade that lets you jump further, which is going to be essential for the next chapter. We've got stock up on equipment, we've got the weapons, and we've got nothing left to lose. Just like the Doomslayer, it's time to take the fight to their world. To end the chaos we started. Welcome to Zen, the second most hated chapter in Half-Life. A place where the laws of physics don't apply because, well, it's not on Earth if that wasn't obvious enough. The gravity's weird, the enemies are weirder, and the platforming is, let's say, experimental. They don't take away your gear this time, they just take away your confidence. This chapter is short, probably the shortest. But it throws a lot of you fast. You've got to relearn movement, adapt to new physics, and deal with alien enemies that don't play by the same rules. Thankfully, the aliens were kind enough to install healing pools, which takes a while to charge you up, but hey, I'm not complaining. I actually appreciate their hospitality. Then after activating yet another teleporter, we dive straight into the next chapter. Okay, now things are getting interesting. And by interesting I mean longer than they probably need to be. We get our first real boss fight. And it's not bad until it drags on for 3 separate phases. I did the first 2 legit, but by phase 3, nah, I was done. I cheesed that bitch using the gold saw slow-mo glitch and threw every explosive I had to that bitch. Because frankly, I was sick and tired of fighting. Then we get a weird little mechanic where you grab one of these alien breeders and use it to distract a Gargantua, which lets you sneak past him while fending off those little annoying bastards we've seen before. Which begs the question, why haven't we been doing this the whole time? Have I just been too dumb to figure it out earlier? Was this always possible? I don't know. Half-Life just does things sometimes. We also get to greet a few of our old friends, the tentacle monsters. And honestly, now that I think about it, how the fuck did they teleport to our dimension to begin with? I can't really comprehend the logistics here considering they need a hole and all that. Anyways, another teleporter, another alien room, let's keep going. This chapter feels a little redundant. Like sure, it gives us new lore, shows us how some aliens are literally being factory built, and sets up this weird alien hierarchy. Therefore Half-Life did what it does best. Spits at you while you're already suffering. I know some of you might like that, but I absolutely don't. Suddenly I'm getting Vortigon spammed like there's no tomorrow. It was just a wave after wave.
Oh my...
Slowly drifted. Okay. Seriously, they were so annoying. I wish that pain to my worst enemy. And just when I thought it couldn't get worse, the flying bastards arrived. Fast, annoying, no respect for personal space. Basically the mosquitoes of our world. At this point I wasn't playing, I was enduring. And don't get me even started on platform elevators. Oh my god. Slow, rotating, weird gravity, and if you misstep once, you can do the same thing over again. This is how Purgatory must feel like. It's the final try before the boss fight. And Half-Life makes sure you suffer for it. Boss fight, we finally made it. You step into the final teleporter and you can already hear him screaming for you, like the obsessed fanboy he is. Now listen, I cheesed the hell out of this boss fight, not because I was tired of combat, okay maybe a little, but because they gave me no resources. Like yeah, you can jump into this weird teleporter orbs, do some alien parkour, fight off a room full of mobs, and get what? A medkit and 12 bullets? But you lose half your health just clearing that room. So what's the point? It's like selling an item at Pawn Stars. You know you're getting scammed. And then there's the Nihilanth himself. Big floating alien fetus. Teleporting powers, glowing brain, and the energy of a Minecraft Gas horror mod. No lore, no logic, just pain. So I did what any rational person would do. I cheesed phase 1. Used my alien weapons, ducked behind the pillars, and let him scream his little heart out. Phase 2 was a little more epic. You jump around like a maniac, using launch pads to aim straight at his exposed brain and destroy this little motherfucker. Finally, the nightmare ends. Cue the epilogue. This chapter is also known as the G-Man monologue, because that is what it is. A strange, slow, cryptic job interview. And if you ever see this guy in real life, you know you're in trouble. And also, his voice is exactly what I imagined.
There, I am impressed.
Slowed down, weirdly polite, like a stockbroker who knows who has your entire family bloodline's net worth on one account. So he presents you with two options. Work for me or die. Now, at first I rejected the offer because I was tired. Tired of his games, tired of his manipulation, tired of being watched like I'm in a Truman Show reboot. But instead of a proper ending, I get dropped into an unwinnable alien arena. No weapons, no escape, just death. So I reloaded myself and said, you know what, fine, I'll work for you. And that's it. Fade to black, credits roll, music plays. And a strong implication that we are not done here. Which yeah, we weren't. Half-Life would go on to spawn not just sequels, but a whole legacy. And a still active modding scene, speedrun community, but we get to that. Remember Chekhov's principle? Well, I do, because I'm writing this fucking script. This guy appears in chapter 1, then again in chapter 2, then in 4, then in 5 and onwards. Always watching, never acting, until now. It feels like a setup and a payoff. Like he was the gun on the wall all along. Quite suspicious and loaded. And now, at the very end, he goes off. But the thing is, this is just a theory. A game theory. Valve never explains who he is, or why he's doing this, or what his role actually is. For all we know, he might just be some recruiter with teleporting abilities and with a well-maintained LinkedIn profile. But here's what I do know. The way he's introduced, the way he reappears, the way the game shows you him, long before he matters. That's not random. That's intentional storytelling, even if it never says anything out loud. He's the mystery Half-Life never solves. And maybe that's the point. Sometimes the most powerful narrative tools aren't the ones that you explain. They're the ones that let the player notice. So is G-Man Chekhov's gun? Maybe. But if he is, Valve pulled the trigger exactly at the right time. That was kind of poetic. So let's talk about something different. What came after wasn't just a sequel. It was one of the most generational runs we've ever seen in gaming history. And first thing I want to talk about mods. There's a mod called Half-Life Anticlimax, which explores an alternate ending, where you survive the bad ending, get teleported back to Black Mesa, and basically say, nah, we don't play your games. Instead of dying horribly, you jump and run your way back through the facility. And eventually, you get sent to a pub with other NPCs. And the best part, there's another ending to that ending, where you lose again. It wouldn't be Half-Life if you didn't get owned one last time, but it doesn't stop there. The modding scene around this game is insane. Cosmetic tweaks, total overhauls, full-on games built inside Source Engine. The best comparison I can make is it's like playing a Minecraft mod pack. The essence is the same, but everything else is so different that it might as well be a new game. And if you think I'm exaggerating, just look at this. Counter-Strike, the most iconic tactical shooter of all time, started as a Half-Life mod. Day of Defeat, a full-on World War II game, also a Half-Life mod. Black Mesa, the high-res remake of Half-Life 1, technically not the same engine, but still born from the same obsessed fanbase. But the one that shocked me the most, Cry of Fear, that cursed traumatizing horror games from the early 2010s that every YouTuber screamed at, built on the gold Source Engine. I've known Cry of Fear for years. It's infamous in the horror gaming community. I just never imagined it had Half-Life DNA on it. And that's the thing. There are so many more mods that completely transform the Half-Life experience. But no matter what shape it takes, they all carry the same core. A game that refuses to die and a community that refuses to stop tweaking it. So, to wrap things up, Half-Life is genuinely a great game. From its sound design to its level design to its game design as a whole, it absolutely holds up today. It still feels fresh, experimental and weirdly modern. In a way, most games from 1998 don't. It's what happens when you push an engine and a bunch of developers to their creative limits. And honestly, that's exactly the kind of stuff I want to see in gaming. That doesn't mean it's perfect. Some levels drag for a little too long, some enemy spawns feel like they were designed by someone who wanted to see the world burn, a little more refinement and this would have been a near perfect experience. So my final score is 8.9 out of 10. This is my actual score. No nostalgia, no legacy bias, just what I genuinely think after 13 hours of playing. Thanks for watching, make sure to check out my Twitch channel, catgirllover1056, if you want to see my other playthroughs, and make sure to check out my second channel, catgirllover1056, for absolutely nothing.